Welcome to Tennis 101. My name is Devin and I'll be your teacher. Unless you guys have been living in a cave, under a rock, or millions of miles away, I'm sure each and every one of you have heard of the sport named tennis. But how many of you actually know what it's all about in the background of it? Tennis is a sport that many people admire and is a very hard sport to be good at. If you guys have never played tennis, I'm sure you guys don't think you wouldn't like it, but hopefully after my speech you'll be more interested. Did you know that the average professional tennis match lasts 2.5 hours and the ball is only in play for 20 minutes of that time? That's crazy. So first, let's swing into the background, history, and a little bit how the game is played. Well, first, the overview. In set one, we'll be talking about the history in the background, the tennis tournaments in set two, and the famous players in set three. Now let's swing into the background and history of tennis. According to Ducksters.com, tennis is one of the most popular individual sports in the world. The ball is made of hollow rubber, and the term tennis comes from the Egyptian town of Tennis, and the word racket comes from the Arabic word rahat, which means palm of the hand. So the first game of tennis dates back to the 11th century when French monks would string a rope across the courtyard and just hit the balls back and forth. So before tennis, it was known as Judo Pame, which means game of the hand. And then as the sport became more popular, it evolved in all aspects of it. So a little bit of how the game is played. You just serve the ball to the opposite side of the court and hit it back and forth until one person can hit the ball back or hits it out of bounds. And for the scoring, you get to serve twice, so you get a second chance if you get a fault. That's game one. Now let's switch sides and talk about the Grand Slam tournaments. The first Grand Slam tournament that came to be is the Wimbledon tournament. It is held in London during the months of June and July, and it first started playing in 1877. It is played on grass and is, according to Wikipedia, one of the most prestigious tennis tournaments in the world. The next one that came was the U.S. Open. This is held in New York City during August through September and played on a hard surface, and it is the last tourney of each calendar year. Next is the French Open, which is played on clay and is the last tournament to end the clay season. It is held in Paris during May and June and is often referred to Roland Garros. Last is the Australian Open, which is held in Melbourne, Australia, and not only hosting the singles and women's doubles and singles, they also host wheelchair, exhibition, and legends games. And then that's game point here, guys. Let's finish strong and talk about past and recent players. Pete Sampras, for 286 weeks, was ranked as number one in the world and has won 17 Grand Slam titles. His last game was played in 2001 against Andre Agassi, and he won that in the U.S. Open Finals. The next one would be Jimmy Connors, and he was ranked number one for 159 weeks straight, and he's won 12 Grand Slam titles. Some more recent players that you guys might know: Roger Federer, Novak Djokovic, Serena, and Venus Williams. Roger Federer has won 17 Grand Slam titles, and Novak Djokovic has won 12. Serena and Venus Williams, pictured here, are sisters, and you can imagine the tension between them when they've played. They've played each other in Grand Slam tournaments 27 times, and their record right now is 16-11 in Serena's favor. Now let's do a quick recap. In set one, we talked about the history in the background. In set two, we talked about the tennis tournaments, and in set three, we talked about the famous players. Thank you for attending Tennis 101, and remember, you only live once, but you get to serve twice.